They tried to take me down, without realizing I was the one signing their paychecks. Stay with me, because what started as betrayal ended in a masterclass in silent power. If stories of calculated revenge and ruthless success are your thing, you're in the right place. Money doesn't buy peace, but it can fund the kind of revenge that makes silence priceless. I learned that 3 weeks ago, when my own family tried to sabotage my career, unaware they were targeting the CEO of the very company that employed them. I'm Avalin. Most of the corporate world knows me as AIN, deliberately ambiguous. On paper, I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at Skyvera Labs, a rising climate tech firm in Austin. What no one, not even my family, knew was that as of this spring, I'd quietly become Skyvera's majority shareholder through a discreet web of trusts and holding companies I'd built since my early 20s. The groundwork was laid 16 years ago. Back then, I was a first-gen college kid pulling all-nighters in a cramped NYU dorm, double majoring in environmental science and computer engineering. Meanwhile, my older sister Jasmine had dropped out of business school and cycled through every flashy hustle and MLM scheme she could find. She's just finding her way, my dad would say. You've always been the stable one. Stable didn't mean supported. I waited tables. I coded prototype after prototype on a busted laptop. I pitched at basement startup meetups no one took seriously. Jasmine? She went on a mindset reset in Bali. But I kept my head down. I knew where I was going. By 32, I'd launched and exited 3 green tech startups, each under a different LLC, each masked behind layers of ownership. I made sure my name stayed off the radar while the earnings stacked. Skyvera was the culmination, a stealth build turned strategic takeover. Why the secrecy? Because my family only believed in what looked successful, not what was successful. They called my work cute and hyped up Jasmine's latest role selling SaaS she barely understood. So, I let them think I was struggling, that I needed them. That illusion ended quietly, surgically. Behind the scenes, I was orchestrating the buyout of Skyvera Labs, an undervalued firm with massive potential. Through blind trusts, offshore holdings, and absolute discretion, I secured controlling interest. No name, no paper trail, just power. When the board promoted me to Chief Innovation Officer, they thought they were elevating a brilliant tactician. They had no idea they were crowning their new owner. Jasmine's face when she found out, worth every sleepless night. Must be nice to catch a lucky break, she smirked over Sunday dinner. Just don't let it go to your head. Running a company isn't like building little science apps in your apartment. Dad nodded. Mom chimed in. Maybe Jasmine can coach you a bit. She's led 3 sales teams now. I sipped my tea. I'll keep that in mind. They didn't know the final acquisition documents were already locked in my home safe. But Jasmine couldn't handle being outshined. She'd always been the golden child, loud, charming, endlessly praised. I was the quiet one with too many degrees and no Instagram-worthy job title. First came the supportive lunches with Skyvera's senior staff. She dropped by uninvited, laughed too loudly, and planted seeds that I was under pressure, overwhelmed, maybe in over my head. Then came the anonymous complaints. HR flagged concerns about my credentials, alleged fake coursework, phantom degrees, all baseless, but the message was clear. I'm just looking out for you, Jasmine said sweetly when I called her out. You know how these companies are, fast-tracking women for optics. I'd hate to see you fall apart. She leaned in like she was sharing a secret. It's not personal. I let her keep going. I wanted to see how far she'd take it. Yesterday, I got my answer. A folder, hand-delivered to the board, filled with forged bank statements, fake emails, manufactured timelines, accusations of embezzlement, insider trading, all expertly faked, all traceable, if you knew where to look. There's an emergency board meeting on Monday. Jasmine must have caught wind of it. At dinner last night, she was radiant, dripping smugness. The board wants me there tomorrow. She couldn't contain her smugness. Sounds like there's going to be a big shakeup at the top. Mom clapped. Dad raised his glass. Neither of them questioned why I hadn't been invited to this mysterious meeting about my career. What they didn't know was that I'd spent the entire night assembling my own dossier, every lie, every whisper campaign, every manipulated detail Jasmine had tried to weaponize against me. And this time, I wasn't just fighting back. I was about to show them the full ownership breakdown of Skyvera Labs. Tomorrow, they'd learn exactly who ran the company. If you think Jasmine's getting away with this, hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will flip everything on its head. I should feel betrayed, hurt, maybe even heartbroken, knowing my own sister had tried to destroy everything I built. My parents, as always, blinded by her charm, couldn't see it. But honestly, I felt calm, sitting in my office, surrounded by color-coded evidence, fake bank records, doctored emails, whispered HR rumors. I knew this moment was years in the making. Jasmine's little coup attempt didn't break me, it handed me a stage I'd never been given before, a rare opportunity to expose her lies and rewrite the story that had defined me for so long. The board meeting was set for 9 a.m. sharp. They thought I'd be the one on trial. They didn't realize I'm the one who wrote the rules. I arrived at Sky Vera at 7:45 a.m., coffee in hand, watching everything fall into place. At 8:45, Jasmine swept into the lobby, flanked by our parents, her power suit sharp enough to cut glass. She smiled like it was her coronation. "Is the board ready for us?" she asked the front desk, radiating victory. From my second-floor office, I watched them make their way to the executive wing. The directors followed, stone-faced, exactly as I'd briefed them. Every one of them had received my midnight message. At 9 o'clock a.m., I stood, straightened my jacket, and stepped into the hallway. The moment had arrived. If you've ever been underestimated, outmaneuvered, or forced to play small for the sake of peace, don't miss what happens next. Hit that subscribe button, because the real power move? It's just beginning. Elaz Romero, our board chair, was speaking when I entered. "These allegations against Miss Lin are extremely serious. Apologies for the delay," I said, sliding into my seat at the head of the table. Jasmine's head snapped up, her smug expression cracking into confusion. "Ava, this is a closed session," she hissed. "You weren't invited." I clasped my hands and smiled. "Actually, I invited myself. It's hard to conduct a board meeting without the owner of the company, don't you think?" The silence in the room was deafening. Jasmine's face drained of color. Mom blinked like she'd misunderstood. Dad froze, his jaw clenched, fighting the laugh that never came. "What are you talking about?" Jasmine spat. "Sky Vera is owned by shareholders." "It was," I replied, signaling to my assistant, Mina, who stepped forward with a sleek portfolio. Sky Vera Labs was publicly traded until 2 months ago, when it was acquired by Verdant Core Holdings. Care to guess who owns that? Gasps filled the room, pages shuffled, the director's eyes widened as the documents reached their hands. Some had suspected a buyout, some wondered who had the quiet capital to take the company private. Now they knew. "This is a joke," Jasmine stammered. "You couldn't have pulled this off. You're just a coder, just the quiet one." "Yeah, I've heard it all before," I said, flashing a practiced smile. "And you've said it enough times." I turned to Mina. "Would you mind?" She tapped her tablet, and the room filled with Jasmine's voice, calm, cutting, and clearly scheming. "She's not cut out for real leadership," Jasmine's voice crackled. "She's smart, but she crumbles under pressure. The board will see that soon enough." Another clip fired up. "Honestly, she's only in that role because of diversity quotas, if we're being real." The temperature in the room plummeted. No one moved. And just like that, the narrative started to unravel. For her, not for me. "Have you noticed any irregularities in her department's finances? Might be worth a closer look." Every whispered insult, every calculated move, every doubt planted against me, it was all there, playing back in surround sound, orchestrated like a perfectly timed fall. But it wasn't my fall. Jasmine was sinking, inch by inch, her confident posture disintegrating as the recordings echoed through the boardroom. Her face, once smug, now looked drained, pale. The directors sat still, unreadable. "And this," I said, holding up an envelope, the one she'd anonymously sent to the board. Inside, falsified documents, forged emails, a fabricated case built on lies, character defamation, falsified misconduct, intentional sabotage of executive leadership. "Did you really think no one would verify any of this before acting?" I asked, letting the question hang in the air. I was protecting the company." Jasmine's voice cracked. "You're not qualified. You've always been the quiet one, the background character. You don't deserve to win." I finished softly, my voice cutting through the silence. "No, Jasmine, I earned the right to lead, and now, I'm the one exposing you, for manipulating internal perception, undermining the board, and risking this company's future." Mom finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Surely you're not going to destroy your own sister's life over this? Like she didn't try to destroy mine?" I turned to face her. "Like you didn't show up here, just waiting for me to fall?" Dad raised a hand halfway. "We were just here to support Jasmine." "No," I said, locking eyes with him. You're doing what you've always done, betting on the wrong daughter. I turned back to the board, standing tall. I apologize for the dramatic nature of this meeting, I said, my voice calm but firm, but I needed everyone to understand what's at stake. Miss Jasmine Lin has breached ethical and legal boundaries in her attempt to remove me from my position. I let the words settle. She didn't just go after me, she endangered this company's reputation and its future. Elaz Romero cleared his throat. Miss Lin, what would you like the board to do? I sat back down, folding my hands neatly. First, I request the board dismiss all allegations against me, based on the evidence we've just reviewed. Second, I move for immediate disciplinary action against Miss Lin for her actions. I also request that a formal letter be sent to Jasmine's employer, I said evenly, detailing her misconduct, including the audio files, fabricated evidence, and her attempts at corporate sabotage. Her actions shouldn't go unchecked professionally. Jasmine gasped, her voice thin and shaking. You'll destroy my career. Like you tried to destroy mine? I asked, my voice calm but razor sharp. The difference is, I have proof, real documents, real recordings. You had forged spreadsheets in hope. I turned back to the board. Finally, I request that Jasmine Lin and both of our parents be permanently banned from Skyvera Labs property. Any contact with staff or interference with company operations will result in immediate legal escalation. Ava, please, Mom cried, mascara streaking down her cheeks. We're family. I gave a quiet, bitter laugh. Family celebrates your wins. Family lifts you when you're low. Family doesn't try to erase your life's work out of jealousy. I slid one final folder across the polished conference table. This, I said, is the acquisition agreement for my first climate tech startup. I sold it for $50 million when I was 27. The second, $180 million. 2 years later. I looked directly at Dad. I could have bought that country club membership you always wanted. Could have paid for all those lavish vacations you handed Jasmine like gold stars. But I didn't. They stared at the pages, stunned, the numbers dismantling every story they had told themselves about who I was. I stayed quiet, I said, because I wanted to see who'd stand beside me when they thought I had nothing. I glanced at Jasmine. You all failed. She looked pale, whispering, you're ending my career. No, I replied, you ended it the moment you tried to sabotage mine. The only difference is, you actually did the things you're being accused of. I gathered my folders, standing to leave. This meeting is officially adjourned, I said, nodding to Elias. Please ensure the record is secured. Then I turned to them. Jasmine, Mom, Dad, security will escort you out. Wait, Jasmine called, her voice breaking as I reached the door. Please. I was jealous. I couldn't stand that you were finally winning. Her voice trembled. We can fix this, can't we? We're still family? I turned back one last time. Do you know the difference between us, Jasmine? She looked up, eyes glassy, the last remnants of pride dissolving. When you thought I was struggling, you pushed me even lower. When I was thriving, I stayed quiet just so you wouldn't feel small. I exhaled. That's the difference between real success and the game you've been playing. The weeks that followed were revealing. Jasmine was swiftly let go. Her employer wasted no time once they reviewed the audio clips and documented proof. Word of my ownership at Skyvera Labs spread, and suddenly the same social circles that once worshipped my sister began whispering my name instead. My parents left tearful voicemails. Jasmine sent handwritten letters. Her therapist even emailed, assuring me she was taking accountability. I archived them all. 3 months later, I was wrapping up a late strategy session when Mina buzzed in. There's someone here, says it's personal. It was Jasmine, but not the polished, camera-ready Jasmine I'd always known. She looked smaller, worn, her designer wardrobe replaced by a plain blouse and jeans. No glitzy jewelry, no performative confidence. I'm not staying, she said, holding up a hand. I just needed to say something. She stepped forward and placed a manila envelope on my desk. This has everything. Old passwords, contacts, everything I used while trying to sabotage you. I'm also sending statements to the board and my former company. No spin, no excuses. I stayed silent, watching her carefully. Why now? I asked. Because you were right, she said softly. I wasn't building anything. You were, and I hated you for it. She turned to leave, but paused at the door. I'm starting over. New startup, entry level, no fake titles this time. I don't expect anything from you, but letting me fall? That taught me more than all the years Mom and Dad spent lifting me up. She reached for the door handle, but I stopped her with a word. Jasmine, I said gently. She turned back, hope flickering in her eyes. Send me your resume in a year, I said, quietly. Not for leadership, I added, but if you're serious about earning your place the right way, we're always looking for people willing to start from the ground up. A single tear traced its way down Jasmine's cheek. She nodded. No excuses, no defenses, just a quiet acknowledgement. Then she turned and left without another word. 6 months later, Skyvera Labs had surpassed even my most ambitious projections. We're developing next-generation climate solutions, expanding into 3 new states, and creating sustainable jobs across the Southwest. It's real, it's lasting, it's mine. Mom and Dad still message occasionally, usually when they want something, or when they're name-dropping their visionary daughter at social events they once hoped I'd stay out of. I keep it civil but distant. The validation I once craved, I've outgrown it. The corner office they said I'd never earn overlooks the Austin skyline. Some nights, I sit by the window as the sun sinks behind the hills, reflecting on family, ambition, and the unexpected gift of being overlooked. Last week, I received a holiday card. No plea, no guilt, just a quiet note from Jasmine. You didn't succeed because of us, but in spite of us, I'm finally learning how to build for real. Maybe that's the truest form of revenge. Not loud, not cruel, but earned, undeniable. Thank you for listening, for seeing me when those closest to me couldn't. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been the underestimated one? The one who stayed quiet, worked hard, and waited for your moment? What would you have done in my place? Would you have spoken up, stayed silent, or walked away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let this space be more than a story. Let it be a reminder that resilience doesn't need an audience, it just needs a purpose. Like, share, and subscribe, not just to follow my next chapter, but to honor yours, because if I've learned anything, it's this. Success isn't about proving people wrong, it's about finally proving to yourself that you were always right to believe. So, what's your story?